In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you use your Festool Domino more effectively. There probably isn't a single tool that gets more attention on YouTube than the Festool Domino. And it seems like it's always at the center of some controversy. Do you really need one? Can you get the same result from a less expensive tool? And so on. What we talk about less frequently is how to actually use it. Am I doing it right? But beyond the basics of how to set this up and plunge and make a mortise, there are other skills and techniques that you need to know in order to use this tool effectively and efficiently. I want to talk about 5 of those right now. Let's get into it. Okay, step number 1 is make jigs for repeatable layout marks. So if you are making a piece of furniture, you're gonna find yourself doing a lot of measuring. And measuring is great, but it only gets you so accurate and it can be kind of slow. So what I recommend doing is make yourself really basic jigs. So this is literally a block. I've got a 3-inch margin here, a 3/4 inch margin here. And then I just glued on a thin piece of thing. And what that lets you do is hook this on the edge of your workpiece and then make a mark here. So you want these ends, if you're gonna make a jig like this one, for example, to be very square, but taking the time to make something like this can really speed up your domino layout. This is a similar one. This gives me 2 marks. So I have a 3-inch wide apron in one of my pieces of furniture. It's gonna get 2 dominoes, so I make a mark here and a mark here. If my line isn't long enough, say for this one that doesn't go all the way down to the end, you just take a square later and make it a little bit more defined. But take the time to make jigs. They will speed up your domino layout. All right, the second tip is really, really simple, but for me at least, it makes a big impact in keeping things straight when it's time to actually drill the mortises with the domino. And that is to put a basic just arrow toward the side of your workpiece that you're going to place the domino. If you make a mark all the way across, it can get confusing which side you're actually meaning to drill that mortise into. And so for me, pointing toward the side where the domino should actually go makes a big difference. I'll show you what I mean. Here is my setup. I've got the domino all set up and ready to go. And you can see I've pointed an arrow toward myself because that's the side that I'm gonna place the machine on. I didn't get confused and put it up this way and think I was supposed to drill there. That's all this tip is about. Tip number 3, workholding jigs. It's easy to overthink this part because it's relatively easy if you have a decent work table to just grab clamps and start clamping your parts to the table. And to be honest, if you don't have that many, maybe you could skip this step. However, if you do any type of production work or if you're making a piece of furniture or something like that that has a lot of pieces, thinking about this step can be really, really valuable. And it can be as simple as just clamping a straight piece to your worktop to give yourself something to brace against when you're using the domino. It saves you having to take the clamps off, put the new piece up, clamp the piece back down. You can just leave it in place. In most cases, this is enough force when you put the domino up here to just go right into that without it moving. There's one other jig that I want to show you that I find really helpful. Okay. So you might be looking at this and thinking, Cam, that's the same jig. Well, it is. I'm using one edge of it as the long support rest that I just mentioned, but on the same one, I've just used a scrap piece of oak in this case and attached a couple of these hold down clamps, which is great for pieces like this where you just need a single domino mortise in the end. Now, if you're working with some type of vacuum system, those are great. I've seen them used to great effect, but if you just need something to work quickly, that will let you hold the piece down very quickly as just snapping them down. This system works great. It supports even wider pieces, but if you need any additional support, what you can also do is take a similar sized piece slap a little double-sided stick tape on it. And now you've got additional support on this side. The piece comes in and out if you're making a bunch of these. In this case, I'm working on a project that I have something like 16 or 24 of these, I can't remember. Boom, holds it firmly in place. You can make your mortise and move on. All right, let's talk about the tabs on the Domino. So if you're new to the Domino, you may not know what these are for. I believe the intended purpose of these is when you're wanting to make a domino that is just positioned a little ways from the edge, what you can do is slide. You can basically register the edge of this tab against it, make your mortise, and move on. If you want to do it from the other side very quickly. But let's say you need to make 2 mortises that are maybe not this exact distance from the edge. You've made your layout lines, you've drawn your arrows as we discussed, but these are close enough together that once you drill one of them, the second one, this tab goes into it. I'll show you what I mean. So here is a piece in which these 2 mortises don't line up with the tabs at all. It's hard to see, but they don't line up with that. So say you drill this first mortise, when you go to move over to place your center mark on this line, that tab is going to go into this mortise, and it's going to make it difficult to make sure that your fence is registered flat on top. So that's an occasion in which those tabs need to probably just be out of the way. Now, if like me, you bought your Domino used, you may not have a paper manual and you may not know that those can actually be stowed away when you're not trying to use them for that main purpose of registering up against the edge and making a mortise that distance from the edge. There's a set screw right here that if you tighten it up, you can press this in, tighten it up, and those will go out of the way. So here we are. You can see this tab right here. What we're gonna do is just take a very small Allen wrench, turn it back, and just turn that a couple times, and boom, it stays up. Do the same thing on the other side, and those can stay away. So really, you could probably just leave them in this position until you need to use them, as I said, as a kind of fence. Okay, tip number 5, vertical drilling. If you need to make a mortise directly in the middle of a panel, it might not be obvious how to make sure that your cut is square with the piece, or how to hold the domino securely enough to make the cut without it rumbling all over the place. What I recommend doing is to grab a spare piece to use as a fence. You can place this down and then brace the machine against it. If your workspace allows for clamping, just clamp this in place. But if not, just use double-sided tape. You'll need to make sure that the fence is placed 10 millimeters away from where you want the center of your domino mortise, because that's the exact distance from the bottom plate of the domino to the center of the domino bit. All right, folks, well, those are your 5 tips for using your Festool Domino more effectively. Hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Cameron with Sturdy Bones Woodworking, and if you did, give us a like or subscribe and consider sharing this video with a friend. Thanks for watching.